I like the concept of it being like, it's not the house that's haunted, it's actually your kid, and your kid's trapped in the spirit world. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Maggie, your face, you're not.
We have different ideas of fun.
And liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this special Halloween edition of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. And we have some very dressed up people, I would say, in the studio today. First, let me introduce the man on the soundboard today, Mr. Jorge Pezo Candelario.
Halloween master and the cardboard crafter.
The cardboard crafter. What was your costume today?
I was the Witch King of Angmar today, which is because me and my daughter, my youngest, we love the Lord of the Rings, and she picked it out. She picks it out every year, and she's like, Daddy, I want to be this. And then my mission is to somehow figure out how I'm going to make it, and here we go.
The craftsmanship was commendable.
Thank you.
You get high marks because it had like the weathered look. It looked like metal, which is hard to do. You started out with cardboard.
Thank you.
Great job and great family bonding. Great tradition you got going on. And, of course, I want to introduce our senior art director, Miss Amanda Barnes.
Hello.
Hello, and who are you today?
I am human Luna from Sailor Moon. Luna is normally a cat, except for, I think it's different in the current anime. But in the old one from the 90s, I only ever saw her as a human in a movie that I used to have my father rent from Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster.
When I was 8.
Yeah. Late fees. Please be kind and rewind. So, Sailor Moon. Now, there's more to this because this isn't something you could just go buy at Party City. Like, you put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, I made the dress myself. So, the dress is a yellow velvet. Then I also it has a lining, as well as a small tulle skirt that has stars and moons on it to go with the theme of Sailor Moon. These pom-poms I made as well.
Nice.
And there's also 2 more in the back.
And you grew hair overnight.
The hair is ponytail extensions.
Wow.
So it's 2 ponytail extensions. The buns are also not my hair.
It all blends in.
They're clip-on buns.
That's great, though.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
how many hours went into this process?
A lot. I've been working on it since, I think I started early September.
Wow, that's
when
dedication.
I started. Yeah, because what I did was I created a pattern. First, I had to figure out my measurements, create the pattern off of my measurements, do tests of the pattern to make sure it actually fit me, then adjust the pattern where it needed to be adjusted, then alter the pattern. Because what I did is I made a body block, which was the whole entire chest and back. And I needed to alter it so that this is more of a camisole style. But you have to account for like gapping that happens when you cut the pattern.
Yeah, you're talking. This is all new to me. Put it that way.
So I had to alter the pattern, and then from that, make another test to make sure that it worked. And then I could start working on the actual.
You were a bit stressed
costume.
out leading up to this about the
deadline.
deadline.
It wasn't done.
Yeah.
I finished the dress the day before yesterday, and then I finished the jewelry this morning.
Okay. Well, the forehead jewelry, everything, and the stickers and the glasses complete the look.
Yeah, the glasses go pretty well. She doesn't wear glasses, but the glasses that I have go really well with
You
it.
need to see. Well, great job with the costume. You always bring it every year. I think if we were to have a contest, Amanda would. You're right behind. You're close, but Amanda definitely puts her foot into each costume.
It's fun.
Each year, and last year that was legendary. The normal
mask.
face was the mask, but then your face was disfigured. Your real face.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those plot twists.
Oh, cool.
And of course, we have our one and only Maggie Cruz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. So I decided to be Jenna Rink from 13 Going on 30, but specifically in that scene where she's doing the thriller dance
Yes.
at her work party. And it's just iconic.
I thought, because it's 82 degrees on Halloween in New England, I thought you were just pulled out a sundress because it was so warm out.
Yeah, I mean, this is not too far off from what I would wear on a summer's day here at work. But, you know, I have the heels, I have like the updo,
Yeah.
I got these like threaded dangly earrings, and then she has like an iconic butterfly necklace.
That is cool.
But I believe hers is
And
green.
where'd you secure that?
Amazon.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you were just putting this together
Yeah.
in the background.
Yeah, just like ordering different things, and I can't say that I sewed this like she sewed her dress, but just
Well,
collecting.
I do want to shout out the HOP, you know, because we're down with HOP.
Yeah, you know me.
The House of Pho, or Pho. We just got back from a team lunch. It seems to be, I'm a tradition guy. This is only the second time, so it's become a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
But last year we marched into that restaurant in full regalia. And likewise today, it's always a lot of fun. And we got to eat outside, which because it's just insane. But we there are some traditions that happen every year. The Great Pumpkin is one of mine. Charlie Brown. I don't know if you guys have seen
I
it.
love
seen
the
that
Charlie
one in so
Browns.
long. Wow.
Linus is like straight up believes that the Great Pumpkin will rise from the pumpkin patch and bring toys to all the boys and girls. And that's also the iconic episode where Charlie Brown keeps getting a rock.
Yeah,
time he goes-
I got a rock.
Yeah, every time he goes to like trick or treat, everybody else gets candy and he gets a rock. So I mean,
Oh, man.
that's iconic. Nightmare Before Christmas.
And
Let's
controversially,
answer- yeah. Is it a Halloween or is it a Christmas movie?
And for me, it's both. We pretty much have it on from spooky season all the way through till Christmas.
It's the perfect Thanksgiving season movie.
I was about to say Thanksgiving because it's like in the middle of Halloween and Christmas. But yeah, I would agree. Like it's Halloween or Christmas. Like
It's equal parts both. We love both sides of them.
It helps to blur the holidays because I mean from now through the end of the year it's just a blur of like retail and candy and food and celebration. But Nightmare Before Christmas is just one of my favorites. We did have the VHS when it first came out.
oh yeah,
That's one of my first memories that I can remember is
that movie.
that movie.
Wow. And that's when it came out under Touchstone, I want to
Burton.
say, originally, because I remember Disney being afraid of releasing it as a Disney movie. They kind of wanted to keep their distance. The kid's going to be too afraid. And
was
then
dark.
it becomes like this cultural hit, you know what I mean? That, you know, people are like obsessed with. I don't, you know, like we're big fans in my household. Obsession is probably a little bit too far, but it is one of those like
People to this day
timeless.
dress up as Sally or
Oh, yeah.
some of the characters. I mean, just iconic, the animation.
the music.
The music. I mean,
So
very
catchy.
moving.
Moving,
it's
too.
like you're watching like a Broadway, play.
Wow, I wonder why it's never been adapted for Broadway. I feel like it would be a great show.
I feel like it was in the works at
I
one
think it
point,
was.
but
Yeah. Now, what would we say is the all-time scariest movie? Like, 'cause this is also the time of year where people watch scary movies to kind of get in the mood.
And there's definitely a distinction between scary and spooky, right? Like
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus. So many favorites. People really love Halloween Town. It doesn't hit like that for me. I think because I didn't watch it as a kid.
oh,
but,
I love Halloween
Oh,
Town.
so that's the thing.
That's
right?
no
I
on me
enjoy
because I'm a
Halloween
different
Town.
generation. What is that?
So it's a very...
It's a Disney Channel movie
okay.
Right,
from
right.
the
Disney
90s, right? The 90s.
Yeah, it's a made-for-TV Disney
Yeah.
Channel movie.
Yeah.
And it's iconic for a lot of people, but I didn't like it. I remember it being on, but it wasn't one of the yearly tradition movies.
Yeah, I feel like it was
Yeah.
more of like a girly girl show because it's like three sisters? No, two
No.
sisters and a brother.
Yeah, the little sister, Marnie.
Yeah, and it
her-
kind of
her
follows like
little
a young
brother.
witch. But yeah, her name's Marnie. My mom's name is Marnie. So I always thought that was cool growing up because
There
I
you
never
go.
heard that name. And I'm like, Mom, it's your name. But yeah.
That's so cool. But yeah, so they're spooky and they're scary. I love being scared. I find that it's very hard to be scared anymore.
Yes, agreed.
I crave it, right? I seek out the movies that can actually scare me because I'm like, oh, here comes a jump scare. And there it is.
Yeah,
Like I've kind of
yeah,
called
yeah,
it ahead of
yeah.
time. For example, right before spooky season started, Alien Romulus came out. I don't know if any of you guys saw it.
saw it.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
Highly recommend. If you like the original, so there's a lot of criticism that doesn't like the fact that there's some little callbacks for the fans. I love that. I love the fan service. I love
it connects the dots for me from a storytelling perspective.
It's equal parts like there's suspense, but then there's action. So it's a blend of Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
Great movie. It's got again, didn't really scare me. I seek out those movies that can actually scare me. But most of those tend to be more psychologically disturbing than scary. You know what I mean? Those are the scariest movies to me. Like the ones that kind of whoa, that kind of have this weird twist.
Silence of the Lambs or something.
I guess that's more of a
thriller, psychological thriller.
Right.
Serial killer, like Bone Collector or something like that.
And when I think about the classic slasher films. So
Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Exactly.
Two boyfriend and girlfriend and a summer camp in a bed and he spikes right through them.
Right,
That's
exactly.
like a classic move.
They're almost, as an adult, they're almost comedic at that point.
Yeah.
They're so overly
Because you're yelling
gory.
at the screen, what are you doing?
Don't go in the basement, and then they always go in the basement.
There's a great
there's a lot of
commercial.
tropes with Halloween
Exactly.
that were established by the slasher
those
movies.
movies.
Right. So
Which is why Scream was a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Scream was all about horror movie fanatics kind of living out that fantasy of being the slasher killer. But in real life, I Know What You Did Last Summer. None of those movies are scary to me anymore. As a kid, I remember seeing Friday the 13th. There was a marathon on Sci-Fi Channel one weekend in October. I watched all of them and then I couldn't sleep for a week. Scariest movie I've ever seen to date as a kid, Return of the Living Dead.
Zombies.
Zombies. As an adult, I watched it. That's a comedy. Yeah. It's literally a comedy.
Scariest
it's hilarious.
For me, I grew up watching all the monster classics. We used to have Creature
Universal?
Double Feature. Creature Double Feature on Channel 56. Right? This is when you had UHF and
Providence.
VHF in Providence, right? And so it would be Werewolf. The classics: Werewolf, Frankenstein,
Curse of the Mummy,
Vampire, Dracula, all those things.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right. So for me, being a preteen, and I remember The Exorcist was so freaking scary when this came out. This came out in the 70s. When this came out, I watched it at a summer camp, a community center, during the day, and it was still scary because anything that had to do with demonic possession,
those are the scariest
to me
for whatever reason.
Hands down, because there's a part of me that thinks this could happen.
Well, as a person of faith, that's the thing. As a person of faith,
your whole life you've been kind of scared that the devil's out there.
Exactly. So I think especially having that background, it's a little bit scarier because you're if you believe in the good, you gotta believe in the evil.
Right.
So
it's in the Bible, such and such. So Exorcist.
I didn't see The Nun, but that kind of movie, you know what I mean?
I avoid that. Absolutely.
I have no problem with any of those. Those aren't the type of movies that scared me. During my high school years, zombies did really scare me. Mm-hmm. I remember the Dawn of the Dead
with the mall
remake. Yeah.
Love that movie.
I came home from vacation. One day I was with my dad, came home. My mom had something on the television. I didn't know what it was. It's the end credits scene where they're on the boat.
Oh.
And I'm I don't know what this is. I'm sitting there watching it, and then they find the
way too young to be watching it. Probably.
I was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
A preteen maybe actually. And they find that little boat, and they open up the box, and there's just a head. I freaked out. I screamed. I ran out of the house. And then from then on, ever since that movie, I would have nightmares about zombies.
Wow.
To the point where in my regular dreams, there would be a zombie in the background. I'd just be like, oh, there's another zombie, and keep it moving.
You know what's weird, because you bring up nightmares, is that I vividly remember having nightmares. I never had nightmares from a scary movie per se, but Elephant Man gave me nightmares. Elephant Man, even though it wasn't supposed to be a horror movie, it was just, I guess, the makeup and the subject matter and him being different and ostracized and hideous. In the whole movie, he's covered in a bag, and then when you see him, people recoil. And I remember, I think I was probably 10 or something, but I remember having some nightmares about that. And recently, the last movie that I really got that I was into like this of this genre was the remake of Salem's Lot. I don't know if you guys have
the
seen
new one on
it.
Max. No, I haven't seen it yet.
You gotta see it because it's got like a Stranger Things vibe. You know, they redid it, and it's a departure from the original David Cross kind of darker version. This definitely has like the campiness of Stranger Things and like fearless kids that want to fight the vampires that you kind of rally behind.
I love
that are just brave.
I love movies like that. Like that gives you that Goonies energy.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? My favorite from that era being Monster Squad, which is like I don't know how that movie got made, who that movie's for specifically. You know what I mean? Like I guess it's a kid movie, but not at the same time. Love that movie to death. And I think you kind of have to decide like what are you there for, right? Yeah. I love like you said, those classic monsters are amazing, but also there's the movies that are like there's ghost movies that are about like a haunting, but that are more like cerebral.
Amityville Horror was another one from my generation, where you were afraid because it was like, well, this house is possessed. Like ghosts, the idea of like what you can't see.
What was that Netflix series that came out?
There's a lot of Netflix.
There's a couple of them.
All the Mike Flanagan series are fantastic, in my opinion.
The one where they recast the people every season.
So there's The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor.
Bly Manor, right? That's the kind of like cerebral.
Yeah,
that one was good and like a little bit scary because it's not so much body horror like the movies. I don't know, like I don't know if you guys saw Hostel.
Right. I was going to ask
that's
you
more
guys,
of like a gore. Like
when
Saw,
did that become a thing? What's considered the first one? Because those movies, to me, I don't find interesting. Where like,
was it Saw that started?
It might have been
all that?
Saw.
Yeah, I don't know if Saw or Hostel.
But like when they close up of like a fingernail being peeled off or something like that, that becomes like the trigger to get you like, I don't know, grossed out.
It becomes right, and then the newest series to do it is like the Terrifier series. Again, I haven't seen them.
Yeah, with the clown. With the scary clown.
But from what I understand, it's just how many buckets of blood can we put out here to the point where it's like, okay, this is so over the top. Yeah. Like
Night of 1,000 Corpses. I've said this before. I don't know if I did it on air, but I walked out of that. Like I tried watching that. And
the Rob Zombie one.
The Rob Zombie one. Nancy and I like we were in the theater at the time, and we just walked out because it was just like so negative, I guess is the word. You know, like there was no like I like watching a movie that has a glimmer of hope. There's going to be some overcoming of something, or if you see a character, you're like, okay, well, this character is going to be the one that's going to like fight back and win. But none of that.
The stakes, place. Antagonist, protagonist, it's all just doom and gloom.
This was doom and gloom.
Even
even like when you think this guy is going to be the guy that saves everybody, he's dead, and then you're just like you've lost hope, and you're just watching this movie, and you're just like, okay, there's nothing redeeming about this, and it was just so much killing and so much gore and so much violence and that. It's like having food that's like way too spicy that you don't taste the food.
Right.
I like
spicy, but I want there to be flavor.
I want some flavor. Tell me a story. Why are they like this, and where is this going, and who are these people coming into maybe battle, good versus evil? Like I love a good versus evil story, but like that movie was just 100% evil to the end, and we walked out. We couldn't finish it. You know, I don't know how. I think you've seen that. And
I've seen it. It's been a long. Yeah, I watched the whole movie. Yeah. But it was a while ago. This was. I don't know how. I was probably a teenager when I actually watched it. I've always been really big into horror, whatever horror movie.
It's great as a genre once you start getting into it. Like I love the classic like body horror, but like their practical effects.
Yeah, the John Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite horror movie.
Think that's scary.
Yeah.
Tension. You don't know who the bad guy is. Yeah. Then seeing like the head split open and the spider leg comes out.
I love it so much.
It's so good.
There's something about the 80s practical effects that just
match it. The Fly is like that. The Fly is hard for me to watch. Like once you start
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, exactly. Once you start seeing the parts start to come off and it's just like,
Yeah.
falling off.
You see,
Also-
I avoid that. Like, I do not find it pleasant watching.
I love it. It's like my favorite subgenre of horror.
And every genre has
What
like
is
a
it?
A body horror.
Body horror, where
Yeah.
things like fall off the body
Yeah,
parts,
or
and
like
things?
your body just morphs and changes. And it's just
you
like
don't have control.
So you
over it
might have
Yeah.
liked District 9.
I did enjoy
Yeah,
District
that
9.
was good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it horror. That's more like
Yeah.
sci-fi, probably.
Yeah.
The tension is my favorite part. The tension is what gets me. It Follows. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I love that movie
That's
too.
a
That probably
fantastic,
had
more
the
modern-
biggest jump scare I've ever experienced within a movie theater.
Oh wow.
I like literally like crawled out of my seat. One scene.
That's it. And like there's a whole spectrum of everything, right? Think about vampires. Vampires go from Twilight, which are like, oh, we're sparkly and we're just dramatic and
Uh-huh,
relationships and we're charismatic, to like 30 Days of Night, where we're just purely monsters who are here to feed.
Yeah, that's my mother's favorite
Yeah.
horror movie. Like she
And then
watches
in the
that
middle,
all the
right?
time.
Bram Stoker's Dracula is like, there are those more horror, scary aspects, but then you have a little bit more of that charismatic side. So I like that you have all right, what do you prefer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely a range of horror movies. Like horror movies I feel like they get a lot of flack. Like particularly like when it comes to like
That they're not cinema? Or
yeah,
that they're-
exactly. Like I look at movies like Hereditary that came out a couple
That's in
years
the top
ago.
10 of all time.
Yeah, like that.
With Toni
but like,
Collette.
it's not just a good horror movie. It's just a good movie. Like the
Right.
acting, like her scream was so visceral in the movie theater.
Like blood curling. Like,
Yeah.
you're literally like, ugh, like it makes
Like
you-
it was like, I did feel more sad throughout watching that movie. Like I was just like really sad.
That's what I've heard. I heard after you. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list. That, and there's another one that's in that. It's not her.
Is it the same director?
It's a similar, like they're out in like the. They're like out in the. I don't know. There's another like a Stranger in a Strange Land one. That's like Midsummer.
Yes, with Florence Pugh.
That
Right,
was, I watched that too. That was.
But I've heard
I don't know if that's considered horror.
I don't know, but I know that psychologically, I've heard
Yeah.
for both movies, you kind of like need to take a pause.
Yeah.
Because of like what
Some
you know
of the
what I mean? They
visuals are
kinda hit
jarring.
you. Right.
There are visuals that are jarring. Now, I just want to mention a few more that are on this list here. Obviously, we talked about Halloween and the classics, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th.
They set the stage. Did you guys like Freddy, Jason?
I enjoyed Freddy.
I liked Freddy. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. That was like my teenage years too.
Exactly. A little bit of
found
humor.
that's a fun.
By the time you
one.
get to like
Yeah.
Freddy 4
Yeah.
and like the Dream Warriors, and like I like the kid who's like in the comic books. That's a great one. And it
Yeah,
gets a
I
little-
enjoyed that one a lot.
like those ones I really like.
Candyman?
Guy that
Did you
cut
like
open,
those?
cut
Did
his
you?
eye.
Oh,
eyelids.
actually, I've never seen any of the Candymans. I like that actor though. I can't remember his name.
Tony something.
Yes, his name.
I
escapes me
enjoyed
at
the first
moment.
Candyman.
I
Watched
didn't see the
another
reboot.
one I watched when I was young.
Evil Dead.
I love the Evil Dead. I love the
That-
practical effects.
that's-
I couldn't watch that movie. There was something about it that was like I was really, really scared by it.
Practical effects. Again, the whole demon, Book of the Dead, yada yada. That thing, I remember. That one got me good. Like that's the last movie in my adult life that I saw where I was like, okay, this is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, the first one. But then you get to Evil Dead 2 and you're like, is this? I remember watching them all like back to back.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched the Evil Dead 2 and I was like,
Is this the same
is it-
movie?
yeah, that's how I felt.
Right.
Technically, it's like a retcon
Right.
of the first movie.
Tony Todd.
Oh, for Candyman.
Candyman.
Yeah, he's also in Final Destination.
Yes, I thought that was a cool nod. I like that movie too. That whole series is,
Yeah.
is
How
like
many
entertaining.
there are
There's a-
there's a bunch.
There's a
bunch.
bunch.
Five at
I did
least.
like the last one where the way it ended, which was a nice little twist at the end.
I like the whole when there's like a concept, right? I like, I don't know, like I said, good and evil.
Does Leprechaun fall into these categories?
It's one of those classics, but it's very schlocky.
yeah.
I couldn't take it seriously.
There's some of them that you're not supposed to, right?
You're
Like Critters. Actually, like
Yeah. Was Critters like a knockoff for
Critters, I think, is a knockoff of first Gremlins.
Gremlins,
And what
right.
a lot of people don't realize is if you've only seen Gremlins 2, that's like the cute Gremlins.
Right.
Because they made it more family friendly. It opens.
the first Gremlins was
The first Gremlins is a Christmas
scary.
movie that's
I love the-
scary.
Favorite Christmas movie.
We can get into a whole side conversation about what constitutes a Christmas movie. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? That's a ever going debate. There's these movies that kind of set the stage, and then you have movies that have kind of there's no monster, there's no supernatural. It's just the person, right? Like there's just a killer, like at the party who's killing people, who like, oh, you know what I mean, like who done it type of a thing. And I like that too, where like the scariest creature is another person, because you never know like what's inside like another person, and like
that's the monster, right? When it's a person.
Yeah.
Some of the other nods that were given, of course, Insidious.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that one?
I had fun with the first Insidious when we saw it in theaters. I like the concept of it being like, it's not the house that's haunted, it's actually your kid, and your kid's trapped in the spirit world. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Maggie, your face, you're not.
We have different ideas of fun.
It's such a cool concept, and then the reveal of that's the other thing. We'll talk about tension.
Yeah.
The reveal of the monster is so key, because when you don't know what it looks like, you invent what it could look like. And when they reveal the insidious demon, I'm like, that's Darth Maul. Like, what? It's spoiler alert. Sorry.
Sometimes, that's speaking of spoilers. We have to talk about it. And Pennywise. Pennywise the clown.
Another one.
That's one I have seen.
Have you seen the original?
The original.
Okay.
The original. Actually, I think I saw both. I saw the second one in theaters.
Because it did come out as like a TV series.
It came out in the 90s. It was a made-for-TV miniseries, like
which
a 5-parter.
The whole thing of a clown being in the gutter is
Tim Curry just adds an extra level of, I don't know what it is. I don't know. You guys ever see Legend?
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that the demon with?
It's like baseball, basically.
When you think of the
that's
devil,
the one with
he's got, like,
Tom Cruise.
Tom
Okay.
Cruise.
He's got like hooves.
Right,
hoofs.
exactly. When you think of the devil, that's what I think of is Tim Curry as the dark one or whatever he's called in that. That movie scared the bejesus. I loved it, but also scared the bejesus out of me.
Just normal. So then as a clown.
Sorry, Tim, if you're a listener, we still love you.
Legend.
Legend.
But yeah, so so we have a famous story with Mandy with that one, because I think it was it too?
No, it was the original. It was the remake.
The first remake with Finn Wolfhard. Which, fantastic. First one.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the remake.
Good jump scares. Good effects.
Yeah.
I felt like connected to all the characters. Like I cared about all of them.
Yeah.
The story of the kid and his the abusive relationship with his father. Everybody has a compelling. I don't know. I love the whole cast. That Goonies vibe. That like the kids against the evil type of a thing.
Yeah, which is why when I talked about it after I saw it, I was like, that the ending was fun, where they all beat him up.
We're like, okay.
But I'm like, you all seen it, the original with Tim Curry? That was like forever ago.
Yeah.
It was like before I was born, or maybe I was born.
Statute of limitations.
Right. At what point does that come
I do have to,
there's a book.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
With it.
Stephen King's still doing it, man.
Speaking of, like, The Shining is probably one of my all-time favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
movies.
So good. And if you saw, I think I played it here, but
Dr. Sleep. So good.
Fantastic. Super recommend.
Again.
It's right up there. I don't know. That's top 10 for me. Like, I loved it. Like, it's creepy enough. It gets me a little bit of a vibe. It's not like gore to the point where I'm like tuned out, because it's like, okay.
Gratuitous gore.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also fun.
Right.
I saw it in theaters. There's something about it that's just like, why is this so fun?
Let's talk about some of the newer ones too that have come out, because you guys are a different breed now. I could get scared with The Shining. Today's kid or young person it's like a different. I don't know if they're desensitized.
Yeah, we're all jaded.
But I mean, like, talk about some of these newer ones, like Smile, because I think they're coming out with a new one.
Yeah, I saw the first Smile, which I didn't see it in theaters because I thought it was going to be like one of those newer horror movies. Like the trailer felt very like Truth or Dare, which was not a good horror movie. But it's actually more like, I heard someone describe it as like It Follows, but with trauma.
I didn't think about that.
And it's it's a pretty good horror movie. There's some good scares in it. The endings, the monster, like that reveal the monster is really good.
It gets like passed on, right?
Yeah, so essentially it's trauma. So it infects someone. They go around seeing this person smiling, and they slowly get possessed, and they end up like doing things that they don't realize they're doing, and everyone around them thinks they're crazy, to the point where it just like it kind of mentally breaks you down to the point where it can fully possess you, force you to kill yourself in front of someone, and then the person you killed yourself with, they have it passed on to
Pretty
them.
Cool. Just something fun.
Just lighthearted.
So what are you into, Maggie? More like Megan, like the doll that like comes to life, or?
I don't mind some horror movies. I'm more into dystopian or sci-fi with a little bit more of like a.
You mentioned Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, when it comes to Halloween, I like the family-friendly, the cozy Casper, Addams Family.
That's a great one, by the way. Casper's really good. Addams Family.
Like all like the ones I watched on ABC Family growing up for like the 31 Nights of Halloween, like that's what I gravitate towards.
You're so wholesome.
But when you say, I'm curious, when you say like sci-fi dystopian, like what is the one? Like, give me do you have an example that you can think of, or you're like,
I liked like the Maze Runner. I liked Divergent, Hunger Games.
Okay.
A lot of the ones I read as books.
Oh yeah.
Okay, where society has kind of taken a turn.
Yeah.
And this is what. Yeah.
Speaking of society, The Purged.
Oh yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
I didn't expect it to become a franchise.
Yeah.
That was like, there's like, I don't know, 5, 6 of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's a terrifying concept,
There's
but it's
also
interesting.
a TV series, I believe.
Right. It's a little bit of everything. And like how fresh can you keep the concept? Like The Walking Dead, I absolutely loved. Is one of my favorite TV series for seasons. And then it just went right off a cliff.
But it's still going.
They just came out with Daryl. Too.
Yeah,
Like,
Daryl, and then the one with Michonne and Rick.
Right.
Just still the Maggie and Negan had a spinoff.
Wow, that's crazy.
And speaking of, I know we're hopping around, but like one of the ones that comes to mind is American Werewolf in London.
Practical effects.
You talk about like body horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like those
Werewolves that definitely fall in the body horror category.
That transformation, the transformation scenes of like his jaw, like all that's like
That's
it's not CGI. It's like
that, by the
mechanical.
way, is a werewolf for me.
Yeah.
It bugs me when they do the werewolf and it's just like my face just got hairy. Like, like when it's a comedy, I don't mind it. Like
Yeah,
Teen
Teen
Wolf,
Wolf, yeah.
with Michael J. Fox. Classic.
classics.
I love that movie.
He's good at basketball.
Right, lighthearted. I'll take it. He does surfing on the top of the van. Like, oh, okay, cool.
That was also the era where like Air Bud came out and all these movies of like a soccer playing Labrador Retriever, a golden retriever.
So cute.
Yeah.
But that's
the other one?
That
there was
is
a chimp
cool.
that played hockey.
But I mean, listen, they just went on and on. But for me, a werewolf is like, give me the full, like, all right, I either turn into a full-on wolf or like I gotta have like the snout and the ear. Then give me the whole.
Yeah,
everything.
I like it when the transformation's violent.
Yeah.
Where like the skin falls off.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, she's getting
We got to think about the mechanics of what it
excited
would
here.
be like, and how a lot of these fears and like what happened even to us as people throughout the ages, right? Like we go to Salem every year, and there's so much history about the Salem witch trials, and just what it took, just hysteria kind of grips a community, and what happened, and people ended up losing their lives because a story just kind of went out of hand, and people started like accusing people and left and right. Then it became like weaponized, and this crazy experience that we went through in early America, and again, the scary thing could be just the person next door type of a thing.
And a lot of horror movies are just commentaries about society, just told with monsters.
Right. The whole Saw series is about people. It's like the antagonist says, well, you made these choices in your life, and now you kind of have to put up, faced with this choice, either make this terrible decision or cease to be, like one of the two. It's kind of a crazy thing. I really liked the first couple. I feel like it's another series that kind of jumps the shark
it
after a while.
definitely jumps the shark. It's just trying to up the ante over what was made before it, really.
Right. You never get to that point where it's like I don't know, like it just keeps trying to be more and more extreme to keep trying to get the scare out of someone. But scaring is like an art form to me. You don't have to be so super over the top. Not that I don't appreciate that. Like Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. I don't know if you've ever seen it, ever heard of it. One of his first ever movies.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's literally like the goriest movie I've ever seen. Like the most like buckets of fake blood I think ever used on film. And this is the guy who went on to do like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you would just never realize that like. I don't know. It's comedy at that point. It's not. There's a difference between like comedy horror versus like actual.
Although the comedy and horror are interesting because I feel like they play well together, but also they have very similar kind of like setups and release. In that like you set up a scare, and then the scare happens, you get the release, and same thing with a joke, which is why I feel like a lot of times comedians make really good horror movies. Like you think about Get Out. And where Jordan Peele came from. He has a comedy background.
Yeah, Jordan Peele made the other one too. Us, I think it was.
Yes, Us.
I thought that was well done.
Yeah, it was.
Very scary.
And
all of his universes, the issue for me is, and I didn't see Nope because of this, the moment you get into what should be like the really compelling part, the moment they like pull back the curtain and you can kind of dive into this world, it's over. And I'm like, that is such a bummer for me.
Nope, I think you
might
might enjoy Nope in that it's actually a sci-fi. It's not a. It was. I enjoyed the reveal of the sci-fi element. I was like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's the one with the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little.
I enjoyed it.
It was a different genre, like Black Cowboys, and they exist, but you don't see them in film often. So it kind of. It's nice to have different sources of the creativity, or the narrative, or the storytelling. So for that, I highly respect them. But let's wrap up and see, what are you looking forward to? Any movies that are on the horizon in the horror genre that you might be looking forward to?
I don't know if there's any new horror movies I'm looking forward to.
I know that they're working on a Nosferatu that's supposed to come out.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
And I've heard that it's the Skarsgård, right?
Yes.
And I heard that he literally had to like take a whole like after they were done shooting, like he was such a method actor with it, he had to like just take like a year off after they were done shooting because it put like this
channeled the Beelzebub himself.
Well, his interview said like he felt like the monster, the demon was still like with him, and he couldn't sleep because he felt like he had become the monster so much.
No,
right, exactly. So, but that's the dedication to the craft of even being that. You know what I mean? Like getting into the role.
Yeah, I have grievances with method acting for that reason. What happened? Joaquin Phoenix? No, not. Who was it?
Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger. Yeah. It was literally like
the Joker kind of consumed him.
It killed him. It killed him. And so like there's a line that I'm an actor, granted it's community theater, but like I would never be that committed to a role where I'm risking my own health. Like
being that, like literally
being it. Like there has to be a line.
Yeah.
But
well, these guys, that's why they're artists, Every artist takes his own path, and the commitment level is different. The process for them is different. But I hear you. You definitely got to protect your energy and your sanity.
Yeah,
your mental
Just
health.
Real quick, as we're wrapping here, so Halloween, trick or treat. I'm excited for tonight. Favorite Halloween candies growing up? Like, is there like do you have a top 3?
Reese's Cups.
Yes, Reese's all the
Cups.
way.
Thank you, everyone. I would trade my sisters for like. Whatever you want. Like, literally pick. I would trade 2 to 1.
I thought you were saying you would trade your sisters for a Reese's Cup.
That is true. No, but I, as the old man in the bunch, I will take any almond joys that anyone is not taking.
I
like
also
them now.
love almond joys.
I did not appreciate them as a kid.
Yeah.
The ones that I also like now that I'm shocked that River likes, like as a 6-year-old, I didn't care for Milk Duds or Whoppers. She loves them. Those are like her favorite. They're her like number 1.
Whoppers was my dad's go-to movie theater candy. So
I don't like the texture.
No, it's just like dust.
It doesn't. It's dust. It doesn't do anything for me.
Those are like those are like her jam.
Goobers I'll do for movies.
Oh wait, no,
Junior
Goobers.
Mints.
I got them confused.
Are those like
Goobers
chocolate
is
covered
the one.
raisins or
no,
something?
peanuts.
Peanuts. The
Oh.
peanuts.
I'll
We're
do
talking
that.
about Raisinets.
Oh, Raisinets.
That's another classic.
That like the number one Reese's Cups.
Yes.
Number two, probably Kit Kats for me.
Yeah.
So first
Okay,
of all,
that's a good order. I respect that.
Yeah.
chocolate is just the pinnacle. Like I like all the sweet tarts. I liked. A lot of people are love them
What
or
about
hate
the
them.
popcorn balls? They giving those?
Just okay. They still do. It's not like
It
food
was
for
just
me.
a staple. Like you had to get one popcorn ball. I wouldn't eat it,
right.
but just to have it.
Right, just to say
in
that
my-
you
in
got
my-
it.
Those?
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah.
And then after, so Reese's Cups, Kit Kats, and then perhaps
Snickers.
Snickers for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snickers and then Twix. Those are like my
Okay,
top.
that's
Okay.
a good top four.
Yeah.
Now you're in the Milky Way category.
Right, now
Three
you've gone down.
Musketeers.
Right, those are both lower tier.
Yeah,
lower tier.
definitely.
They're okay. I like them. I'll
You'll
eat
eat
them.
them if you have
Yeah.
to.
Right.
I like the Reese's best. The Snickers. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoy a Butterfinger.
Oh,
They're-
those are
I
good.
forgot about
Still
Butterfinger.
not top tier for me, but those are. I put those above the Milky Way.
Me too.
And the,
Yeah.
and the,
But what is the all-time favorite office candy? The official office candy.
Peanut M&Ms.
peanut M&Ms are like this. That's the top.
Those are the goated office candy.
It's a meal in itself.
They go in the gumball machine, and I probably eat half of the gumball
I
machine.
heard on the radio today that peanut M&Ms are the healthiest Halloween candy.
Okay. There we
Because
go.
it has nutritional value? Because of the
I
peanuts?
guess
Protein.
compared to all of the other candy.
There are less chemicals in it.
Also, probably the sugar to peanut
Peanut
ratio
ratio.
is smaller.
Right.
All right, well, that's encouraging.
Well, let's end the show on a happy note.
There we go.
Peanut M&Ms.
Let's go eat some peanut M&Ms now.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this special Halloween edition of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.